And reactions are pouring into yesterday's school shooting, and as usual, some people out there using the opportunity to play politics. Former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki spinning this tragedy into an attack on President Trump's crime crackdown in Washington, D.C. Peter Doocy joining us live at the White House with more on this. Hi, Peter.
Bill, good morning. Jen Psaki did not wait for any information at all about the shooter or about the motive before she took to X to post the following. Prayer is not freaking enough. Prayers do not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. And then, when kids are getting shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass, and your crime plan is to have National Guard put mulch down around D.C., maybe rethink your strategy. Minnesota is blue statewide, and the governor, Tim Walz, wasn't ready to make such a big jump.
Receiving a call from President Trump, who was with his leadership team of the Attorney General and the Vice President, expressing their deep condolences amongst the horror that happened and an offer to provide the support to the folks here in Minnesota of what's needed.
On the Psaki point about the National Guard, Vice President Vance is telling USA Today, we don't want indefinitely to put National Guardsmen on the street of our cities. We just want to make sure those streets, make those streets more safe. And even Democratic D.C. Mayor Bowser agrees.
We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city, a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer.
Mayor Bowser also says that she does worry that all these extra federal law enforcement officers on the street could erode some of the trust that residents have with the Metro PD department, the normal beat cops that'll be here long after the National Guard goes away. But we've come a long way from a couple weeks ago when Mayor Bowser called the federal crime crackdown authoritarian. Bill.
Yeah, we certainly have. Peter Doocy live at the White House for us. Peter, thank you.
And Mary Catherine Ham joins us now. Thank you for being here, Mary Catherine. Jen Psaki said what she said about prayer. There was other posts like that on X, but also the mayor of Minnesota said something similar. Listen here.
Don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
Mary Catherine, you also were very helpful yesterday in providing some context to this, mother of young children. Let's get your thoughts this morning.
Yeah, I just think, first of all, my thoughts and prayers are with the families who are dealing with this unspeakable tragedy today and having to talk to their children about it, those who lost their children. It is right and good and I think necessary to pray in these times. It is sad to hear public figures very quickly turn to saying that prayer is nonsense or unnecessary or weak. And I think if I were to give them the good faith interpretation that they're unwilling to give their friends on the right, I would say that this is a call to action, right? They're frustrated that there's not action that goes with prayer. But your response does not need to be to denigrate prayer. And it becomes actually perverse when the people in the pews were likely attacked for practicing their religion, for practicing this tenet of faith. And you say that because that didn't protect them or because that doesn't solve the problem, that people should not pray and that you denigrate that practice. I have lived a life that has had its portion very different, but nonetheless of sort of unthinkable tragedy. And prayer did not solve the fact that my husband died while I was 7 months pregnant, but it did not prevent that, but it got me through every single day after that. Mm-hmm. And it helped me to raise my children. And I just think that taking the message to the public that is somehow an insult to people who were killed while practicing their faith is so gross.
Mary Catherine, we see this over and over. First responders are still on scene trying to figure out what happened, and then we get the inevitable tweets from politicians politicizing it, right? We saw it from Jen Psaki. We saw Hakeem Jeffries yesterday say that weapons of war shouldn't be on the streets before we even knew what the weapons were. Why do we see this over and over and over? People refusing to at least wait for some facts to come in.
Well, and the thing is, look, people are upset with good reason, right? There is evil in the world. We don't always know how to defeat it. That's why I think prayer is important, by the way, because we don't always know how to defeat it. But I understand being emotional, being upset, being frustrated, being heartbroken. So many are. And so you want to jump to whatever is comforting to you. And in some cases, politicizing it becomes sort of a safe place to be. But it's not a helpful place to be. A helpful place to be would be, especially if your job is in the press, to stick with the facts, to be rational about it. I think I preferred Governor Walz's take there to Jacob Frey's, where you're not going to that well immediately, because I think it does send people to their corners instead of allowing them to come together at least to grieve, if not to agree on solutions to a problem.
Mary Catherine, so I've known you for a long time, and I know what you went through and how you dealt with it with such grace, and have come out on the other side in a way that is just a joy to see with your additional children that you've gone on to have.
Thank you.
One last question about the bigger picture, and that is the crackdown on crime. You did have this from Politico reporter Rachel Bade, who is putting this into context for people about how voters and citizens are seeing Trump's crime crackdown. Listen here.
When you think about voters and how they feel right now, Trump is really leaning in and sort of latching on to those fears. He wants to be the one to tell voters, I'm tough on crime. What are you going to do? And what Democrats are doing right now is saying, oh, you don't have the authority and crime is down. That doesn't resonate with people.
Yeah. Your final thoughts this morning on that part.
Yeah, I think, look, I don't want to get too antiseptic about it and into the stats, but the fact is that the vast majority of gun crime is with not a mass shooting. So in D.C., for instance, there were far fewer homicides in the last 20 days than there were before that, right? Most people look at that and go, okay, that's good. We want more of that. So I think Democrats, the combination of saying prayer is bad and also cracking down on crime is bad, I think is a bad message combo to take to normal Americans, most of whom are on the side of prayer and cracking down on crime.
All right, Mary Catherine, thank you, and go hug your children today as school's underway.
Thanks. As everybody should.
You are there,
yeah.
yes, indeed. Take care.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.